Hi to all the wonderful people of the world. Today, my guest is Honorable Inge Urbancic, and she is a very famous teacher across the world. Today, we'll talk to her and we'll try to know more details about her personality, her living, her education, her religion, her beliefs, and her social life. Hi, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Raja. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me today.
You are welcome. And I will first of all like to take you to the memories of childhood. And would you please tell something about your memories, childhood memories? How was your childhood? It was good, it was bad, it was anything you want to share, some stories from your childhood.
Well, thank you. That's, when you are meeting people and trying to connect and understand each other, it's always a good place to start, right? At the beginning, at their childhood. So just, briefly, not to say too much, but briefly, I am from the United States, and I was born and raised outside of Washington, D.C., in a state of Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. I have my father is American and my mother is German. So I grew up at a very young age learning that there is more than one way of life and more than one way of experiencing life, right? There's different languages, different foods, different ways of interacting with people. So I have a sister and a brother. There's three of us, so my family of five. And yeah, so growing up, I grew up in a household that spoke English and German. And I spent a lot of time in Germany with my family as well as in America. So these beginnings that I had really planted the seed and the foundation of my love of different cultures and the beauty that exists with people from different cultures and backgrounds all around the world. Yes.
Thank you very much for your brief introduction, and I can see the blend of German and American culture. Thank you very much. My next question is, you are a teacher, and you have different students from across the world, and you teach English to students who are in Pakistan or some other countries. And what do you feel the difference between Pakistani students, and how can you compare with Pakistani students with the rest of the world?
Well, that's a very good question. That is a very good question. First of all, I will say that the Pakistani students who I have taught, just with, small interactions, I've done workshops with the Micro Access Youth Program in Karachi. I've also done some English lessons, actually for free, in the month of May during COVID with a lot of Pakistani students. And what I have found specifically about the Pakistani students and why I'm here today is that there is such a love of knowledge and learning and curiosity among the students in Pakistan, and the teachers also. I find this also with the teachers. They are the most gracious, kind, accepting, welcoming students and teachers. And for this reason, I am very interested in doing what I can do to help in Pakistan. So yes, I have taught students from all around the world, here in the United States, in the universities. And this is one thing that I notice specifically about the Pakistani students: their desire to learn and their openness and their kindness, their loving heart. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for praising the Pakistani students, and it's a very beautiful thought when I listen somebody who is not Pakistani and is talking about Pakistan and Pakistani people, and thank you very much for all this. Ma'am, what sort of education you have got other than this English?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good
Have
question.
you got education?
Also. Yes, that is a great question, because my education background is a really good example of the fact that if you set your mind to something, you can do whatever you want. So I started my education. I had my my undergraduate, my bachelor's degree was in business, international business, and philosophy.
Okay.
I had a double major in both.
Wow, that's good. That's great.
And so for many years, I actually pursued business. And this is how I learned entrepreneurship along that path. I did a lot of work in the business world. But I decided I've always had a passion to connect communities around the world. And what I was doing in business was not enough for me. I wanted to make a bigger impact. So I went back to school and got my master's degree in teaching, specifically in teaching English. And now I have continued on, and I'm working on my doctorate program, and I am working on my PhD in international education and education leadership, so that hopefully I can have a bigger voice to bridge cultures and make connections through the power of education. So this is a little history of my education.
It's nice to know about your qualification. You are qualified in business, and you are teaching English to everybody across the globe. It's very fascinating. I would like to know what is the purpose that you connect people. Why you do this, and what is the objective that you gain or obtain from connecting these people to each other?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. This is the heart of my passion, because what I have learned is that when we are not connected with each other, so when we do not connect and we only know our own way, right? I only know my way, and I think my way is the right way. If this is all I know, then there's a wall that comes up between us. There's a wall. And things that can come from that wall are things like racism, just anger, hatred. There's some negative things that come up when you don't connect on a human level with people. So my passion in connecting people is to create these opportunities through education, also through travel. That's a different story. But to be able to see that we're all people. It doesn't matter if I'm American and you're Pakistani. It doesn't matter what our religious background is. It doesn't matter what color our skin is. It doesn't matter. In the end, we're all people, right? We're all living through COVID. All of us, the same. And until we have those opportunities to connect, really connect and understand each other, you know, this is what will create peace and understanding in the world, are these connections. This is my belief and my passion.
You are unbelievably and wonderful lady. You are working for peace. You are working for connectivity of human beings. You have no prejudice and you are working for humanity. I salute your efforts. Thank you very much for all this you are doing for everybody, for Pakistanis, for Indians, for Americans, for across the globe, for every nation. It's very good. I appreciate. Ma'am, my next question is about your business. So what sort of business do you have? Would you like to discuss?
Yes, I would love to, because the business that I have at the moment is a part of how I connect people around the world. So in addition to teaching, I created a small woman-owned travel business. It's called C2C Travel, and it's actually almost 5 years old. I believe, yeah, next year it will be 5 years already. And my goal with this travel business is that I personally create every experience, which I'm calling them experiences, not trips, for my guests to go to the other countries. So for example, I specialize only in 2 countries. I'm very small, Cuba and right now the United Arab Emirates. The reason I have those 2 countries is because I'm working to bridge cultural barriers between Americans and people in the Middle East, as well as in Cuba. So through this travel business, I have handpicked, I have found myself everyone who works for me in Cuba, everyone who works for me in the Emirates, and they all have the same objective: to create authentic opportunities to connect. They're looking to break down barriers, stereotypes, things like that. So I create these unique experiences to connect people. So I'm working to connect 2 ways, one through education and one through face-to-face travel.
Wonderful. Why you decided to expand your business in Cuba? Being American, you know, there are some tensions between Cuba and America. So why you think of that country specifically, where the 2 countries have some problems?
We do have problems with Cuba, and we have for a long time. And for this reason, Raja, this is exactly why I chose Cuba. Because in the end, I felt that it was very important to get beyond the politics and to get beyond the barriers between the American government and the Cuban government, and realize that in the end, again, we're just people. So the trips that I have to Cuba are truly people-to-people travel. I have small groups of Americans who come, and we live with Cuban families. We have Cuban tour guides. We have local Cuban drivers. We only eat in local Cuban-run, family-run restaurants. Everything is completely geared towards people to people in order to create an opportunity for understanding that would be difficult for many travelers to get. You know, people can just go and buy a ticket to Paris or Germany or London. That's easy, right? But to be able to go to a country, for an American, to be able to go to a country like Cuba and truly be welcomed by the Cuban people in their homes, to have a platform for dialogue, conversation, and understanding. This was the reason I chose Cuba.
Inge, thank you very much. You explained very well, and it's your great vision that explains you are working for the peace practically, and you are bringing the two countries having tensions closer by your small efforts. Basically, these are not small, these are appreciable, and I think and I pray for it that someday your efforts uh, will help these two countries to join together and to remove their tensions and to spread peace among all across the world and specifically between these two countries.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question is, you yourself, as you told me that you are engaged with travel industry, how many countries have you traveled yourself up till now?
That is a great question, because I know many people have a list of how many countries. And I have to say, personally, I have never made a list. However, I will tell you, I have been to every continent on the planet, with the exception of Antarctica.
Okay.
My desire for travel is endless. I lived and studied in Asia. I lived and studied in Europe. I've spent a lot of time now in the Middle East. I was scheduled, I had a ticket in my hand to come to Pakistan in March, actually, to present at a conference in Islamabad. And unfortunately, that was canceled because of COVID, postponed, let's say. But yes, I've been through South America, Latin America, all over the United States. I am a true traveler, and traveler in the sense of trying to get as much information as I can about the people in the world around us and different ways of life. That's how I experience travel, truly being immersed in those different cultures and societies.
Thank you. Inge, can you tell any three or four or five major benefits that we can get through traveling?
Yes, this could be a whole conversation right here. Number one, obviously the connection. Well, let me back up. It depends on your purpose. Okay, some people want to travel just to get away. And when they're traveling, they actually are looking for the same comforts that they have at home, but in a different country. There's many travelers like that. That, for example, if I come to Pakistan and if I stay in the Marriott and only look for American food, right? That's one kind of traveler, and that suits a purpose for some people. Other kinds of travelers, like I said, really try to immerse in the culture. So I think number one, it is experiencing otherness, and understanding that our life, my way of life, is not the only way of life. And that through the experience of travel, I'm able to learn different ways of life that might actually be complementary to my own, or might even encourage me to do something different, or to make friendships with people from other countries that otherwise I never would have known. And what happens is that when we come home, we always see things a little bit differently. Travel, in my opinion, is one of the best forms of education. I believe that all students, all teachers, all people, as much as we are able to encourage some type of travel to understand that how the world operates in a different place. When we come home, we're changed. We are always a little different. We bring a piece of all of those different cultures with us, right? And eventually we become more of a citizen of the world, we can say, instead of saying it's only this way. It's only America is the only one who's right, or only Pakistan is right, or only this one is right. Once we actually have that power of travel, you know, we remember things. We say, wow, I loved that in Karachi. That was really the best, you know, biryani I ever had. I want to do that again. And the hearts of the Pakistani people are so overwhelmingly generous. You know, things like this we bring back, and hopefully they make us better people.
Wow. It's the whole university basically. If you travel, it totally change your mind. It change your vision. It change your thinking process. It change your culture. It change your views about the life of the people and places. When you really live with them, you spend time with the people, you know directly learn something from the people, and it helps you to understand their life, the real understanding, which is not available in the books, which is not available in the newspaper, which is not available on the media. So that's wonderful. And I want to ask you for the next question. Sometimes it is considered as a silly question. I I would like to ask you about your family. Please tell the viewers about your family. How many
Yeah.
babies you have? Are you married? And what all sort of all this?
How many babies I have? Well, my babies are not such babies anymore. I have 2 kids. I have a
2 kids.
17-year-old, 17-year-old daughter who will be leaving to go to the university next year. This is what happens in America. You know, once they go to the university, they are, they leave our home. So so I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I have a son who is 15 years old. My family lives all across the United States. This is how we live here. This, I believe, too, is different than in Pakistan. Here in the United States, my parents live in Atlanta, Georgia, which is about 10 hours from here. My sister lives in California, which is on the other side of the country. And my brother he's here. He's in this area. He's about a half an hour from me, but we live in a community where, you know, everything is much more independent. You know, we have to rely on ourselves. We have to rely on, yes, on our family and on our friends is kind of how it is. But I have a very, very beautiful, strong family. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inge Urbancic. You are a wonderful lady. As a business lady, I would like to know, do you think Pakistan is a safe country for business?
I love this question. Do you want to know why I love this question? Because, you know, we are, of course, we're in the world of COVID. So as you know, there is not much travel happening, obviously. However, it will come back. And the more I have been working with Pakistan, and the more I have learned about the people in Pakistan, and the greater my network has gotten in Pakistan, and especially the more that I have been learning about the beauty of northern Pakistan, it encourages me as well to consider, you know, incorporating Pakistan into one of my destinations at C2C travel. Because I feel like, similarly to Cuba, there may be misunderstanding between, you know, or from the media between Americans and Pakistanis, if whatever people might think. But I have very much been considering this as well, to see if there is an opportunity to develop similar programs in the northern area of Pakistan, to be able to bring small groups, when I say small groups, I'm saying less than 10, very private groups of Americans, in order to have that type of a face-to-face connection in Pakistan. So I think that, you know, it takes some thought. It's going to take a little bit of thought, in my opinion. Again, knowing the people of Pakistan and the hearts of the people of Pakistan, and how good you have all been to me, how generous and welcoming and curious. For these reasons, I feel like I also would like to be able to show your beautiful country to the world in this way, and to be able to connect people, Americans, directly with Pakistanis as well, not only through travel, but through education as well, and through continuing the work that I'm doing with local Pakistani youth, with Pakistani teachers, anything that I can do there to help bridge that, to make that connection.
Thank you very much. My next question is, how we Pakistani can improve our country, our education system, our different infrastructure, roads, and especially the northern areas. Do you have any opinion so that we can improve our infrastructure, and we want more cultural visits and more visitors to Pakistan, as it is an amazingly beautiful country. Our northern areas are very beautiful, and how you can see different options, how we can build it more glamorous, so that we can attract visitors across the globe.
That's a great question. You know, again, keep in mind that I personally have not had a chance to visit yet because of the COVID, because my trip had been postponed. But with that in mind, so for that reason, I can't really comment on, you know, how to change the infrastructure or anything like that. What I do see, you know, in two areas specifically, my areas are tourism and education. So I can speak to both of those kind of briefly. So from my experience, one of the biggest challenges with education seems to be access, making sure that every child is educated, however that is. I know the classrooms are very big. There's a lot of students in the classrooms. Many times there could be students who are not able to go to school because of different family issues or responsibilities. So access to education is really important. This is my really my passion. I feel like every child on this planet deserves an education. So this is not just in Pakistan. This is anywhere around the globe. Secondly, in terms of tourism or the northern area, my first remark is that personally, I would not want to see it changed. I'd like it to stay natural as it is and not have a big influx of, you know, McDonald's and this and fast food and hotels. But in order to keep it authentic and pure with the spirit of the Pakistani people, you know, what I look for is for local people who can speak English, who maybe have had a chance to travel around a little bit so they understand some of the, you know, the things that my guests would be going through just with acculturation, who might be able to explain and have discussions about the culture, things like this. So I'm not sure. I'm sure that this exists in the northern area of Pakistan. I'm sure there's many, you know, very beautiful. I've met many, many wonderful Pakistani guides actually living in Dubai that I worked with. So I know that they exist. So it's a question of being able to find them and to create this kind of a partnership, more or less.
Thank you very much.
Once that starts, I believe that once that starts, and then there gets to be more, you know, exposure on the travel sites. If I had clients who were coming and then they're able to speak to other people about Pakistan, a lot of trust and word of mouth is where it comes. And if this is, again, this is through the human connection, people to people. It's through that type of a connection that I believe this will really work. In my opinion, this is in my world, what works.
Thank you very much, Inge Urbancic, for your all detailed answers and for your love and for humanity, and especially for Pakistanis. I admire your efforts. You are doing good for everybody across the globe. And I know many of your students here in Pakistan, they love you so much. They are planting. I have seen some on your profile. They are planting, doing plantation and tagging your name on posters, on plants and trees. So it shows how much you are famous in Pakistan. And I will invite you to Pakistan. Come again, see northern areas, and we have all sort of beauty here. We have deserts, we have sea, we have mountains, and we have talented young people and very loving Pakistani who are ready to welcome you here in Pakistan. I would like to invite you, and it will be my pleasure to host you during your next visit if you come to Pakistan.
Thank you so much for that generous invitation. And I am delighted and absolutely am so excited for that opportunity to be there and meet you and meet all of the wonderful students, yes, who planted the tree on my birthday in my honor. That I was very, very touched by that. And so that means that now I have roots in Pakistan. I have trees that are planted in Pakistan. So there are roots, and I'm hoping that those roots will continue to grow and develop and flourish around the country.
Thank you very much for your time and for your good suggestions. I salute all your efforts, and I would request all people across the globe that be patient, be safe, work for humanity like Inge Urbancic. Thank you very much. See you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hopefully you will visit Pakistan as soon as the COVID goes and the situation becomes favorable.
Inshallah, I will. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Stay blessed.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.
Bye-bye.